Hello and welcome to another Office Hours. Capsule. That's right, capsule. A little tiny little section of my Office Hours live stream where I talk about Star Citizen, lore, news, and more. Live on twitch.tv/theastropub and youtube.com/theastropublive. Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Yes, that's right. So come join us live. Come join chat here, who are live talking with us. Chat's going to be very, very much the chat, and claim this is pre-recorded because they're like that. Thank you, Doc Platypus. But yeah, come join us live and kind of talk and hang out live. We watch the ISCs when they come out. We look at new news. We could talk about the lore. Go all over the place. So if you want a good 3 to 4 hours of your night, you need some good background noise, or just kind of coming and hanging out, it's a great place to be. Love to have you here. Now, what this is the Squadron 42 monthly report for the month of September. A couple things to go over before we continue this. September is a weird month for CIG, similar to like January, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on in September, but a lot of it is hidden because they're going to talk about it at CitizenCon. So this may not actually be everything they've worked on this month. Generally speaking, it's not always everything they worked on, just who can report it and such. But this is going to be especially shorter in comparison. But bringing that up about shorter, this also isn't a summary. I don't do summaries. Summaries are fantastic tools for people who don't have a lot of time. But if you really want to know what's going on in the annals of CIG, if you want to know all of the information CIG is coming out, you really need to watch everything. You need to read everything. And that's what I do. You can think of this as kind of like an audiobook format. The difference is that I'm going to interject my own kind of thoughts and ideas, and maybe also give some context for things that have happened in the past. So, as always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon. Would love to see you come out here live as well, especially if you like this stuff. And without any further ado, let's get to the September Squadron 42 monthly report. All right. Let's see how many betas there are referencing in here. AI features. AI features began the month resolving an issue with Vanduul attacks not harming the player or friendly AI. They also fixed behavioral issues related to AI taking cover, which also enhanced the situational awareness of friendly AIs when encountering enemies. That wasn't in the monthly report for Star Citizen, so that's interesting. Obviously mentioning Vanduul attacks. The team then began providing animation support for cover transitions for each of the in-game factions. Issues were also addressed with attack and defend areas to ensure that AI units correctly advance or defend a designated location. That sounds like they're going to be doing different animations depending on the faction that's involved. So maybe they all have different behavioral animations connected to them? That'd be interesting. Significant progress was made on a key battle, with the team implementing behaviors to allow the enemy to learn from the player's actions. These learning behaviors will prevent players from exploiting specific actions to win. The team is also exploring design tweaks to the battle to enhance the overall experience. This is all new stuff. Usually when we do these monthly reports, the AI stuff is just a reprint from the Star Citizen monthly report, but this is a little bit more different. Throughout the month, the animators concentrated on improving the male-to-female retargeting to ensure that female Marines move naturally during combat. They also continued to provide animation support for crouch locomotion. Now, when players adopt the stealthy playstyle, AI buddies will follow their actions and crouch accordingly. All right. AI tech. AI Tech continued to develop various features throughout September, including Boyd's and the Apollo tool, and began focusing on performance improvements and polishing existing features. This is almost directly from the monthly reports, from the Star Citizen monthly report. For Boyd's, the base structure that allows the designers to infiltrate Boyd states, wandering, fleeing, idling, dead, etc., and the transition between them was implemented. These transitions contain rules, including when they should be selected, and animation data, such as birds taking off and landing. Iteration was also done on suitable physics properties for Boyd agents that need to be affected by gravity to walk on terrain. The team also added health components agents so players can damage and potentially kill them. For the Apollo subsumption tool, the team completed an error reporting panel that will provide detailed information on behavior issues. This will help the designers to catch problems sooner and solve them more easily. Various quality of life improvements requested by designers were implemented too. Performance improvements were also made, with the team looking closely at systems that impact performance on dedicated servers. For example, optimizations were made on how navigation islands compute after parts of the navigation mesh are regenerated. For navigation volume, code was cleaned up and event dispatching was moved to update job, which better distributes to multiple threads. The team are currently investigating and implementing optimizations to planetary navigation generation and pathfinding request processing. New functionality were added to the collision avoidance system. Now, collision avoidance agents have support for skipping and ignoring lists, which is used when agents move together as a group. For NPCs using trolleys, improvements were made to collision avoidance, and a new component was added to the trolley that will trigger the regeneration of navigation mesh when it stops moving. Regarding flow graph subsumption nodes, the team can now generate nodes with dynamic input based on subsumption's event description. This will help the designers to write more complex behaviors for NPCs and missions. AI vehicles. Vehicle AI spent September improving elements of Squadron 42's gameplay. Last month's work involved reworking the flyby maneuver that the ship AI used to combat. It is now much more aggressive and can adapt to what the player is doing. At higher level difficulties, the AI will also do a skidded roll attack during flybys, where they roll and strafe slightly as they approach, making them more difficult to hit. Okay, I do that maneuver when I fight. Stop stealing my fight maneuvers, CIG. Oh, that's kind of nasty. Yeah, that's to kind of add some context to that. They've completely reworked the AI system for FPS, and in the process, they've taken a lot of that work and then added it to the flight AI. So now AI who fly will have different behaviors. Some of them will be different. They have different like nodes, like these little tag systems which they slap onto AIs to give them different states, like sniper, brawler, aggressor, cautious, those sorts of things. These tags will then determine an AI's like how they respond. So they've kind of started to place those onto AI vehicles or AI vehicle combat, which is what this is talking about. Vehicle AI also exposed various features to the designers to help them tune and balance combat encounters, such as burst fire controls for ships. The AI can now detect when a ship has entered soft death, disabled but not fully destroyed. Enemies will stop attacking in this case. Various tweaks, improvements, and updates were also made to enhance the overall game experience. There you go. Animation. The gameplay animation team spent the month working on Weapon First Selects, a key combat encounter, the military pilot multi-tool, Spec Ops cover animations, female animations for missing player interactions, and fixing the firing range's security behavior. It's important to note that both animation and audio were the ones that said basically just right out the gate that they're working on beta stuff. So a lot of this is beta work, apparently. So they also focused on cockpit and environmental interaction animations to increase immersion. pickups for AI medical and ship hull interactions, and a variety of facial animations for flight combat and comms calls. Audio. The dialogue team completed their performance capture pickup shots and moved on to the asset editing and mastering. Where are we? And mastering. Content was captured for Breathing System 2, which was prepared for implementation. There was plenty of great quality content recorded to cap off a successful shoot. Audio team. Focus was also given to the actor status and asset mastering. The planning began for Walla recording sessions to add background chatter to the game's more populated areas. So Walla is an audio system that they use for recording stuff like that. The SFX team continued efforts to fill environments with ambience in line with their sprint milestones. The game's weapons are currently being implemented with relevant sound effects, and the first audio passes on in-game VFX began, such as lightning strikes. The tech required to implement sound into cinematics was also completed, with the team breaking down the effect requirements for Chapter 1 to bolster the impressive cinematics with impactful audio. Code and tech work continued on the Walla system, and numerous bugs were fixed too. Engine. All right. So as always, I am not an engineer. I cannot turn rocks into replicators. I do not know the canticles of the Omnissiah. I am but me. If you are one of those special people, then please help me understand what the heck they are saying in the engine section. It is an entirely different language. Though I have been getting better at reading it, it is still important that some of this stuff is gonna go over your head unless you know the technical jargon. So if you are somebody who knows the technical jargon, if you can translate a little bit in the comments, be very good. Thank you to those who have been doing that in the past as well. Engine. On the renderer transitions toward the final version of Gen 12 continued. This included enabling the render graph, which can utilize the GPU better with less CPU cost. The team also removed several legacy GPU access APIs, including map and write discard, which won't be supported by Gen 12 due to low-level code complexity. Effectively, they're working on moving a lot of the load from the CPU to the GPU, which makes the GPU more important when it comes to performance. Furthermore, the streaming system received improvements. We no longer need to maintain a separate code path and instead update all of our objects from within the rendering callback. This reduces code complexity as we only need to maintain a single code path going forward, and reduces memory consumption as well. Engine team. The team then added more strict debug modes and high-level checks for ECUS code to detect and report potential race conditions earlier. Also on the entity system side, more strict checks were added to entity access functions to ensure they only happen on threads where it's permitted. Gameplay story. The gameplay story team supported a performance capture shoot and made improvements to a range of scenes across the campaign. The team then used some of the new motion capture data to create a scene with a key character entering and using an airlock. A short start idle was also added to the three-person scene early in the game. A console interaction was improved, and props were fixed and polished for a long mess hall scene. A new way to trigger lines while animations were already playing was documented, so it could be used in other areas across the game too. A lot of animation stuff, motion capture stuff. Graphics and VFX Programming. In September, the graphics team progressed with several in-development features. For example, the new water simulation and rendering systems now have their fundamental building blocks complete and are currently being balanced to ensure they look good under the game's huge variety of conditions. The R&D on global illumination was merged into the main branch to see it working across various locations. Work also continued on features such as fire support for entities, a screen space occlusion effect for gas clouds to increase their lighting detail, and support for Maelstrom,
the new physics destruction system. That's the new system, the new damage system that they'll likely be talking about at CitizenCon this year. It's a major effect, a thing they've been working on, which has a lot to do with engine changes. So it'll be interesting to see how much it's changed. We've got a bit of an explanation from chat for the engine. In a system using multi-threading, which is anything, race conditions cause code to not complete. I think ECUS are memory storage spots within the processing pipeline where they would be potentially cached. Not sure on that one, but I tried, Paul. Thank you, Foxtrot. Level design. The level design team continued to make progress on their Idris interstitials. So interstitials is the stuff in between. Along with the usual bug fixing and scene iteration, they completed the back end of the reputation system. Now the Idris crew will track a player's reputation via interactions. For example, selecting a negative, neutral, or positive conversation option, or walking off mid-conversation. That's very cool. So they're starting to add the reputation system into the game. For those of you who don't know, the reputation system is entirely granular. It is very granular. They can give individual prompts reputations. Chairs, potatoes can have reputations if they wanted to. So this is just using that system into Squadron 42. The team then moved on to the Fortune's Cross, using the background AI to enhance its past its sell-by date shopping mall at 4 a.m. aesthetic. For example, they added NPCs lazily eating noodles, wearily sipping on a coffee, and carrying out shady transactions. Fortune's Cross sounds familiar. That may be the name of the station, but I don't think so. I'd have to look that up. But that's definitely a reference to an actual location in game, so it's got to have some lore. They also completed additional work on social section in Chapter 1. I think the based off of what they described it is, the Fortune's Cross, if you've watched the Squadron 42 trailer, you probably see the I think it's the visual teaser. You see this big kind of mall area that's very concrete. I think that's supposed to be Coach Fortune's Cross, so. They also completed additional work on social section in Chapter 1. We have our narrative scenes set up, but to reinforce the tone, we now have the background crew carrying out maintenance and repairs, watching frontline reports, and writing messages to loved ones. Level design team. Glad to know that. I kind of know what Chapter 1 is, and yeah, that tracks. That'd be cool. It'd be a nice little setup. I'll say that. Narrative. Narrative spent the first half of the month supporting the recent performance capture shoot. They also continued to meet with various level designers and leads to make the final tweaks based on the latest level updates. It was an intense 3-week shoot, but it yielded some fantastic performances and moments that will really enrich the overall experience. During the shoot, we also welcomed back some of our original supporting cast for some final pickups. Very cool. So supporting cast probably doesn't mean people like Henry Cavill or John Rhys Davies or Mark Hamill or Gillian Anderson. It does mean some of the more minor cast, which are reoccurring characters, like the actor who possibly plays Cal Mason, or the actors who play the engineer and other folks like that. So. The footage captured at the shoot is currently making its way through the content pipelines as editorial selects are pulled and passed along to animation and audio teams. Additional wildlines based off of combat AI feedback and Vanduul content were also captured to fill in areas and supply more specific dialogue to support gameplay. With the shoot complete, the team continued tackling many of the game's text needs, from Galactopedia entries to environmental storytellings and collectibles, while the team is also passing along script revisions to the localization team. They've been working on collectibles, environmental storytelling, and Galactopedia. For those of you who don't know, the Galactopedia currently is on the website, but there is going to be an in-game Galactopedia, which you can access from your Mobiglass. So they're kind of moving that stuff over there too. All right. And chat is telling me that mentioning there's lots of final pickups, which, again, let's not jump ahead. Just because it's final pickups, it's probably final pickups for a specific pickup for that specific events for them, which is good. It means that they're wrapping up some of the work, but it doesn't mean that they're wrapping up all of the work. R&D. The R&D team worked on a variety of important updates to the game engine that will be shown to the community soon. AKA, watch us on CitizenCon. Tech animation. The tech animation supported numerous teams across the project with a wide variety of animation tasks, including asset implementation and maintenance. Great progress was made on creating and implementing creatures. As part of this, work was done on toolsets for rigging and physics proxy authoring and implementation. Comms calls and dialogue were a major focus in September 2, with the goal being to create content at speed. This has been hugely successful and collates many lengthy manual processes into a singular toolset with a great user interface. Tech art animation team. That's cool. So we're going to get comms calls, new comms calls animations, which is interesting. That's good. Finally, they continue to provide additional faces for the game to source from, providing much more variation to the NPC population. UI. The UI team looked at the conversation text, updating its style to match the rest of the game level screens, such as the radial menus. And, after a lot of iteration trying to find the perfect style, a direction for the Drake Cockpit UI was unanimously approved and will soon move into production. Thank you! How many times have they said that the UI for the Drake stuff is almost done? Like, it's finally. The team also began adding, quote, AI fluff, quote, screens into the game of the main levels of the game. Overall, they look great, though they've spotted a few areas of improvement that have been working. We have been working on adding some extra variety, as well as improving underlying system so that we can use a single design on differently shaped physical screens. For example, we can make an engineering screen that fits a portrait 16:9 or super widescreen terminals in that level. UI team. That's just so that you don't see the same screens over and over again, the screens that you're never going to be able to interact with. So. The team also polished the visuals and ironed out issues with the visor and vehicle HUD, as they're used in-game and come up against unexpected situations. They're currently polishing the map and radar systems, improving the visuals and usability. Tired of them talking about that polish. I want to see it. I want to see the new map and radar systems. VFX. Last month, VFX continued working with art and design on several locations, helping to add extra polish. They also continued fine-tuning the fire propagation effects. VFX is another one of those teams that has been effectively done or is in beta work for a while. So, what did we learn today? Well, we learned nothing. Thank you, Jared. But we also learned that a lot of work has been done on UI. There's a lot of animations that have been working on, especially to differentiate AI, different NPC characters or NPC factions and how they function. A lot of work to try to make female animations look better. That's been a big push that they've been trying to do for the last couple of months. Adding in female animations for the player and for the NPCs a lot more. The narrative team has done a lot of final pickups. They're working on a lot of new kind of end stuff. So like the narrative team, the audio team, and the animation team are working on beta level stuff as of the last couple of monthly reports. Level design is working on a little bit more details of some of the major locations. Let's see. And we got a brand new thing on AI features. So fixing some issues with the Van Duel, but also having the AI learn from players' actions so that it makes it a little bit harder for players to function. Like I said, a little bit shorter this month than it normally is, but there's some beefy stuff in there, especially the AI features stuff. And of course, something's going on with R&D, which we'll have to find out at CitizenCon. But I want to thank you for watching. As always, I want to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you want me to continue to do this sort of thing? If not, let me know. If so, let me know. And join us live, twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to see you here and hang out with chat here. And with that being said, say goodbye, chat. Because like I say every time, hope to see you someday. Black.